Good afternoon. Welcome to the Meltdown. I hope you're having a great day. Certainly here in the Houston area, we're getting ready for a little bit of cloudy and a whole lot of cold on the freight train. It's coming. Now, I got to tell you, I'm going to take the show in a couple of different areas today, and I don't mean to be all over the board. But if you would, grab a pen and a piece of paper. You're going to want to take some notes. And more than anything, I hope that you'll interact with me. Now, what you can do is you can go on to Ustream, register, and that way you can begin chatting with me, quote, as the show progresses. You can always reach out for me by email. The email, Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. That's Brett with two T's, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. Now, I really want you to understand that this is the place and the time where we want to focus on what you're thinking. What are the things you need to be aware of? And folks, it really does matter to me a great deal. So many of you have questions or comments, concerns about the economy, concerns about pretty much everything that's out there. And you should. One of the biggest debates that's going on here in the United States is the issue of quantitative easing. And so many people are so confused by it that it is confusing to the masses. We hear lots of conversation about how weak the U.S. dollar is. And the weakness in the dollar gets reflected across the board in the different markets. Now, I know last night the Nikkei was up a little over 2%. And as I look at where we're headed in this economy, if you rely on the government to provide you the information, then you're going to have a real heartache at the end of the day. My concern is that too many people are caught up in mainstream media. Subsequently, they don't get the opportunity to deal with the real facts. Now, I can tell you the real fact is that gold is in a sell signal. Silver is down. We're down 3% for the day. Platinum is unchanged. And so what that relates to is that the spread between gold and platinum is widening. That's because platinum is a rarer metal. I've got a lot of good friends and clients who own it. I want to thank my friend Norm for coming by and saying hello. Sal, meeting you today was a real blessing. I'm going to share some of what your thoughts and concerns were so that you can pull this all together and get a real firm grip of where we are. Now, the Nikkei, as I said yesterday, or just a few moments ago, was up 2% for the day. The Dow is down 25 points. That's pretty much insignificant the way I measure things. The dollar picked up some steam, not a lot. We're talking about minuscule at best. But if you compare the dollar to the overseas currencies, the euro, the Swiss franc, the Mexican peso, they're all up as the dollar went up. This is not the norm. Now, the price of oil is losing value, and doing some research, CNN reported that we will be, quote, a top oil producer by 2015, and of course that's because of the boom in the shale market. Folks, if oil gets too cheap and the economy, quote, starts to look like it's better, you're going to find out that all we've done is leverage ourselves to a huge arbitrage. And when the market lets go, that'll be the point in time where you see another serious buying opportunity and potentially the collapse that we talk about in the paper markets, the equity market. Listening to what's going on in the stock market, the NASDAQ, it concerns me because of the amount of leverage that's out there. Leverage can be a good thing, and arbitrage can be a good thing, but you've got to understand the implications of failure. And a slip, trusting the wrong people, getting bad information, it comes home to roost, and it happens pretty quickly. Now, some of the comments that I share truly come from the heart. Some come from just the facts that I read online. Fracking, polluting the ground, not the way we're supposed to go about doing this. But you've got to also understand that as the economy appears to get better, the decisions that we're making are worse. And I try to explain to folks that when you're getting involved in gold or silver, platinum, rare coins, there's a reason why, quote, bottom feeders move through the market fairly slowly. Now, I want to gauge this, and I want to do it in such a fashion that I don't appear to be a gloom and doomer. If you run your household on credit cards and unsecured lines of credit, maybe eventually you've used up so much credit that you go to a credit line on your home because you've got all that equity. One of the things that concerns me is the fact that the government has endorsed these mortgages for the elderly so that they can start utilizing the equity at a slower pace and not have to worry about, paying their house off or the passing it on to their heirs so their lifestyles don't change. I know clients who make the representation that they're worth tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars because of their assets, but they claim to be in poverty. They just need it. Everyone needs what they've got or needs what they deserve, and they get what they deserve eventually. But the ownership of rare coins, owning a coin that may sell for $5,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, is so far-fetched for some people to understand that when you see the market, the silver market, trading at just under $21, there is going to be a premium on anything that's physical. Now, if you want to buy 5,000 ounces of silver and you want to control it in a fashion that is in a security, you want to go long or short in the silver market, then you're going to be playing around $20.80 or 85 cents an ounce for silver. If you want to buy 500 or more silver American Eagles, your cost is going to be closer to $26 a coin. If you buy them in onesies and twosies, you're going to pay $28 a coin. That's so that the dealer has the opportunity to make a little bit of profit. Okay? Now let's face it, on $2 a coin, if you bought 100 coins, the $200 is less than 8 ounces of silver. So I understand everyone wants to get the most they possibly can, and I'm certainly not going to begrudge anybody of trying to get the maximum out of anything. That's just not how I do my business. But I am concerned about the issues and the facts about what makes a good transaction and what doesn't, because that's really very, very important that you understand why certain premiums exist and why they don't. Now, it's from that standpoint that I want to share my feelings this afternoon. There's nothing wrong, and I do it all the time, and I say, look, folks, if you're working so tight that you need to begrudge a dealer of making 50 cents or $1 a coin, you should do business with someone else, because I don't try and take deals like that. And so it's from that standpoint. I had a gentleman come in earlier today. He had an old high school wedding ring, high school ring. It was his class ring, and his was in 10 karat, and I figured it up at $189 or $190. And someone offered him $195. Well, I told him to go back to the other person. Go do business and pick it up from them, because for $5 they were giving him a fair deal. It was something that I don't think he really needed the money. He was driving a nice brand new SUV. And I said to him, because he had consulted with his spouse, and he said, do you think that's something that our son would want? He's 5 years old. Well, through my own personal experiences, I said, that may be something down the road that maybe he would appreciate. And so I would take the step and I would find out who. Take it back. If you're not willing to sell it and the money's not going to change your lifestyle, then hold it as a keepsake for your child. He's 5 years old. Today, who cares? But down the road, Dad's high school ring might mean something. And so for the little bit of difference, I didn't want to buy it from him. It wasn't worth taking a transaction from somebody else because it was a fair offer, and I wanted to confirm that with the person. So I'm going to operate on a profit. Nothing wrong with making money. That's how we function in business. But the reality is that when you're looking for a store of value and you're not really sure what the future holds, and let's face it, when you've got somebody like Lindsey Graham saying, I am going to interrupt and I am going to stop government from functioning properly, the Federal Reserve Chairman is not going to be up for nomination because I want to know more about Benghazi. Benghazi was a horrible incident, and I don't know the amount of the cover-up that's involved. But it's not a reason to hold back the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government from functioning. Now, it's compromise that stops these things. And so on a day where I can tell you that gold went from 1285 down to 1267 and change, and we've lost another 1.25%, people will come in and say, Brett, why is silver dropping so much? Well, the easy, curt answer is there's more sellers than buyers. That's easy. But you got to understand that the only people that are affected by this there's 3-point trade, are the guys that are playing in paper. And if they were short the market, they still made money. They bet on the fact that silver would lose value because banks have so much precious metal, central banks, not ours. The U.S. government does not hold its possession in silver and gold anymore. Yeah, I know about Fort Knox, and I know you can drive down the road and you can see the building off in the landscape, and it's got big fences, and we've got a tank unit that is supposed to be one of the finest in the world at Fort Knox. And I've seen the pictures of how they built Fort Knox. And I've even seen the pictures from the 1960s when you've got celebrities, not like Hollywood celebrities, but people who've been seen and posed pictures with a door open, a vault door, and a wall of gold. I've seen it. What I haven't heard is anyone who can verify and confirm that the gold really is in Fort Knox. We got soldiers, and we got a great building, and we've got a tank battery, but what we don't think we really have is the gold. The Germans asked to get repatriated the gold that they stored in France and in the United States. And the U.S. basically said, give us 7 years, we'll replace it. It's because it isn't there. And I've told the story plenty of times about Hugo Chavez. He nationalized oil in Venezuela before he died. He used the gold to leverage the transaction to be able to buy the oil companies off. Well, before he died, now that he was making money, he wanted his gold back. 200 tons of it. Basically, they called London and said, okay, we gave you all this collateral, now we want it back. And they didn't have it. And Chavez pretty much, I'm sure, gave them an ultimatum about they were going to fulfill the transaction and replace the gold because it was his gold. He used it as collateral. Then he wanted to buy it back, and it wasn't there. Well, Chavez went up in 10 C-130s and went and picked it up. 20 tons of gold on a plane. And he brought the 10 planes back and repatriated it. That's what fueled the Germans in asking for their gold back. Because Germany is the same to the Europe as the U.S. is to the world. And frankly, we are losing that ability to be strong. The dollar is being challenged as the world currency. And folks, there are plenty of thieves out there who come in the night and take your wealth. And frankly, that's one of the concerns that's happening on a worldwide scale. The U.S. is losing its value. And trust me, if we cut the deal with Iran and we approve of their nuclear program and they start to build reactors and they have the ability to make nukes, we will see Iran dump oil all over the place. The market will be flooded with oil. The price of oil will come down drastically. The economy will start to look good. And then all of a sudden, all this quantitative easing is going to bounce, and we're going to have more debt, more problems than we've ever had at any time in our history. Mark my words. Today, 2013, 11, 12, 13, that's the date. Pretty cool date. But reality is somewhere down the road, we're going to suffer for it. And when we suffer for it, we're going to see a situation that's going to be amazing. It's going to be untold what we experience and how we move forward. You're going to see the price of gold hit 3,000 to 5,000. And I keep the map of the United States behind me. And unfortunately, I'm covering Texas, but I got to tell you, Texans are absolutely amazing people. They love this state more than anything in the world. And I love the fact that they do. Family is very important. Cross the border one way or the other, and guess what? Those people have a love of their own states, but there's nobody like a Texan. And so part of the reason that I created TexasCommem.com wasn't just because I want Texans to focus on Texas, but there's natural history here, and the history over time comes of value. And when the values continue to appreciate, that's a great place to put money. It's part of the reason I talk about diversification. And there's lots of dealers around. Some I like, some I don't like, but you know what? I love competition. And when someone gives you a good deal, you take it. It's when you get to something that can flood the market. Personally, I'm not into Matisse, and I don't own a Picasso, although I did have an opportunity to buy a pencil drawing about 20 years ago. I wish I'd done it. It was about $1,500 to $2,000, and it's probably not worth much more than that today, but it would be neat to have a Picasso. It'd be neat to have a lot of the assets that I've had taken from me over the years, and everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's kind of felt it at one time or another. But reality is that when you store value in the precious metals or collectibles market, you do it in a fashion that you secure wealth. And over time, assuming that you don't have the locusts come in the form of demons, then you're able to take advantage of the growth value of those assets. And so for me, talking to folks like you, you buy some silver, you buy some gold, you buy it in low premium, you buy it in mid-range, semi-numismatic, and you buy something rare. And I'm telling you now, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or your 50s, I've got clients that have been active into their 80s and 90s, and they acquire precious metals for one main reason. And that main reason is that over time, the metal is always worth something. And today, if you analyze the stock market, you'll find companies that have made money and you'll find companies that have lost money. And you'll see that those literally are at a place where you own different things and those things create serious profit. I'm interested in knowing where and what you've got. And ultimately, it's that product that other people are going to seek down the road. So own the finest known note from the government of Texas. Pay $150,000, $170,000 for it. I exposed the note once, and at the time, based on trying to play the game on Pawn Stars, I thought it was maybe worth $500,000 or $600,000, and maybe they'd come in and lowball me at $200,000 or $300,000, and based on the price I paid, I'd have probably taken it. But reality is reality, and so you try to play somebody else's game, and it doesn't always work the right way. But you know what? It's okay, and it's from that standpoint that I want other people to know what's going on. And from that standpoint, it is super important. And by super important, I want people to know everything. And so it's from that standpoint, when you know it, that you want to take care of other positions and do other things. And those other things allow you to own silver dollars or Texas half dollars. Maybe you like dimes or quarters or halves and you want them from the early 17 and 1800s, or you want them from 2000. There's so many different ways to play this. And so building a portfolio and understanding diversification is really very important. It's important because you've got to have a plan, and that plan starts by implementing it. You can paper trade yourself until you're dead, but ultimately you put together a collection. I like Franklin half dollars and Walking Liberty halves. I love seeded coins. I love owning an 1840, 42 New Orleans minted half dollar that's a coin that you may end up having to pay a few thousand for, or maybe you only pay a couple hundred for. It depends on the quality. But to own something that was legal tender, it was barter, it was something of value 170 years ago. That's pretty cool. And so it's from that standpoint that I want to tell you, you make the step, you make the move, you do the deals. And when you start doing those deals, that's when happy comes along. And so there's a paper trail. We certainly want to track it. And from tracking it, it's not just about owning certain things. It's about owning really neat things. And so I want to own collectibles. I want to be in different types of material. Recently, I bought a 1938 refurbished slot machine from the Golden Nugget. And so it's a really cool item and something that I want people to own often and frequently. And I want people to understand that there's product that you acquire that other people are going to want, because that's what history is about. Now, I tell people all the time, I love big, beautiful $20 gold pieces. I like them ultimately because when you get right down to it, a $20 gold piece is always something of value. It's 0.9675 ounces of gold. They range from 1850 all the way through 1932. They produced them in 1933, but that coin, there's only one legal. And the one legal coin sold for over $7 million. It was approved by FDR to go to King Farouk of Egypt, and there's a lot of pedigree that goes along with it. Now, it's from that standpoint that when you talk about that kind of material is neat and desirable. From neat and desirable, you get out and you find literally that lots of people own lots of different types of material. And so $20 gold pieces allow you to become a collector. So many of you want to own the lowest premium product because it's easy to follow. And for me, talking to you, I don't want the easiest, most common material all the time, because if you bought gold when it was $1,900 an ounce and here you are trading under $1,300, you see a big 20 or 25% loss. That doesn't do any good for anybody. Markets don't always go up. Sometimes they go down. And I've been in this for over 30 years, well, almost 30 years now. I started as a registered investment advisor. Didn't really like the equities market. I like physical. I'm a realist. I'm not a gloom and doomer. And so it's from that standpoint that I really want to chase this product and educate you. I want you to understand why we buy certain types of coins and why we don't buy other types of coins. That having been said, it's important to understand the ups and downs of the marketplace. So $20 gold pieces literally allow the opportunity to move forward and do other things. Those other things allow you to be a collecto-vestor. A collector, you don't want to collect. You're just trying to protect some of your money. And you're going to do it in such a fashion that it allows it allows you to be exempt from confiscation. Well, confiscation. May 1st of 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, confiscated gold And so if you weren't a collector, if you couldn't substantiate that what your objective was collecting, your gold got confiscated. That's why so many dealers offer European and foreign fractional gold. French 20 francs, angels, Napoleons, British sovereigns. Sovereigns were made in different parts of the world. The Italian 20 lira, the 20 mark. And ultimately, it's that type of material. And so from that standpoint, when we talk about what you own and what you want to own, we get down to a place where different types of coins are always marketable. You can go anywhere in the world and people recognize U.S. gold. That's why I like $20 gold pieces. You can pay about the same price for a $20 gold piece that's been cleaned or polished as you would a 1 ounce gold American Eagle. And yes, the gold Eagle has 3% more gold in it. So you're going to pay a little bit of a premium over spot, but you're not paying an exorbitant premium over the intrinsic basal value. See, a $20 gold piece trades for a little bit more than a 1 ounce gold Eagle for a reason. And if you get to them and they're uncirculated, the premiums go up a little bit more. Now, this is where we talk about and I explain things. Public Law 99-185, something I've talked about many, many times, deems the new coins to be numismatic. That means they're considered collectible. But people put them into their IRAs thinking that they've got a collectible, and that's not the rule. The rule is that you own multiple types of coins to substantiate you're a collector and you're not buying gold for the purposes of hoarding it. It seems like it's a little bit of a trick. And it is. The government, for all the conspiracy theorists that are out there, this starts to get really exciting and it really starts to blow up in a big way. Now, by saying that, I want you to understand, owning some cheap gold, whether that's in pandas or Austrian Philharmonics or gold maple leafs, there's a lot of different forms, Mexican pesos, U.S. gold American Eagles or buffaloes or fractionals, new gold, old gold, spouse gold. There are common spouses and there are rare spouses. And there are spouses that will sell for 200 or 300%. How about 10 times the melt value? And the market is starved of the product. No, you can go spend $1 million or $2 million, but you know what? If you wanted to spend 5 to 7, maybe 10 million, you wanted to move some of your company's assets around. You don't want to hoard. You want to be involved in the market. You want to protect the company because the company's not always thinking about you. You know how I know that? A 401k has restrictions that prohibit you from selling it out unless you change jobs. Otherwise, the rules are theirs to make and you are subject to what they want. Anyway, that's getting to another tangent. It's about owning different types of coins. So when I talk about owning some $20 gold pieces, I want a type 1, a type 2, a type 3, and a St. Gaudens, 4 varieties of $20 gold piece. When I look at spouses, I want to build the sets of the business strikes and or the proofs. And depending on the premium, some of them I'll buy in 69 condition, some I'll buy in 70 condition. I love the 70s. I've got friends that acquired them. I've got acquaintances that own them, that have bought them and put them in their IRAs before gold popped in 2010 and 11. And they don't own as many in 11 and 12 as they do in the 07, 8s, and 9s. And they did it because gold was still cheap and they perceived the market. It worked. Own 70s in some of those coins because it's the future generations that are going to be taught. Look at what the economy did back in 2007, 2008, 2009. I'm talking about the generation of today, the kids that are being born that have to deal with our mistakes 30 years from now. We're dealing with the mistakes of the 1980s, and they come and they go. And listen to what's going on with the big banks, and they're being fined hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. That's because of the deceit and the greed factor. And trust me, eventually you get found out. And when you get found out, you have to deal with the consequences. And trust me, you're going to be dealt with. That's why you diversify your portfolio. and you own gold coins and you own silver coins. And I love Mint State 63 to Mint State 65 Morgan and Peace dollars. Now, peace dollars most people aren't real familiar with. 1922 through 1935. They did make a 1921 dated peace dollar. That coin is pretty much got a basal value of $100. I don't care what the coin looks like. Now, if it's low end and it's been cleaned or polished or bent, then it's not going to be worth $100. Otherwise, they're always worth that. 75, 85, $100. And you can spend hundreds or thousands of dollars. And the U.S. coin market trades on a computer network. But you better understand, and you got to listen close, NGC or PCGS, go into the other grading companies and you can have problems. And all of these cable TV shows, most of them are so full of bull. Made up rarity only happens when the U.S. Mint or a World Mint decides that they want to limit the amount of coins being produced. It gets back down to reality. And reality is that you own multiple types of coins in multiple grades. I love rarity because I can discover rarity at zero premium. Now, let me clarify because I don't want people to think that I'm misrepresenting the product. I sold a client an 1873 Philadelphia Open 3 $20 gold piece in Mint State 61 for $2,900. You can find some out there for probably $2,700. You'll find some out there for $3,300. $29 is what I quoted. There are over 3,000 Mint State 61 graded coins for $3,000. I sold and had the opportunity to tell the customer I wanted to sell them an 1873 closed 3 $20 gold piece in AU 58. Now the comparison, they're both an ounce of gold, they're both dated 1873, but instead of owning one of 3,000, he would own one of less than 200. A lot of rarity, a little bit of premium. 15 times rare, and no premium for the per ounce price of the gold. That's a good deal to me. You pick up the rarity without the premium. Now, had he chosen to go into a Mint State 61 1873 closed 3 and I happen to have it, different price. That price would move closer to probably, I don't want to exaggerate, I've seen them sell for as much as $9,000 to $15,000 in Mint State 61. And if you buy one at the auction and you found somebody asleep at the wheel and you paid 6 or 7 or 8, that's okay too. And so I represent clients because you've got a busy life. You're out there doing what you do. And for me, I want you to own different things because most of the time it's about owning multiple types of coins. I've got clients that like new coins. They buy recently produced product that was minted by the U.S. Mint in silver American Eagles, and they send them off and get them graded, and they grade 69 or they grade 70, and you get to make a few dollars, and you've got all this silver, and eventually you get to a place where silver starts to get bulky, and then you decide you want gold. I'm telling you that if you're prepared to look at the economy on the next 5 to 20 years, and if you're young enough and you think you're going to make it 30 or 40 years, the value of rarity today. You know why a painting sells for $80 million? Because somebody either has way more money than sense, or it's a storehouse of value. And I've been in New York. There are high rises. There are very wealthy people that live there. I heard a bank advertised this morning that they control 20% of the world's wealth. I'm not going to mention the bank. Not going to do an ad for them, but a fifth of the world's wealth in one banking institution up in the Northeast. That's a huge number. And the dense population of New York would dictate that they could control markets. But nobody's been smart enough to come into the U.S. coin market and understand that if you set it up as a security, you can't do the same things as you can do as an individual investor or somebody who works with a group of people. I encourage people to reach out to me. I want to deal with large groups, and whether it's 20 to 100 people or 500 or 5,000 people. Understand that you can focus the dollars into a few different areas of the market and have market impact. You can buy material off the market and literally have an impact on a market. Most coin dealers are coin dealers, and they look at coins and they like the beauty of a specific coin. They pay a little bit of a premium. Most guys will make a market across the board in anything you like. But for me, I want to tell people, hold it. Let's focus in on a few areas. I like gold American Eagles and I like spouses. I love $20 gold pieces. I love Morgan silver dollars, but I'm not going to be the guy that manipulates the Morgan silver dollar market. I'm not. I can tell you the weaker silver gets, the stronger certified Morgan silver dollars maintain their value. And they trade at all different price levels. So whether you want a Mint State 63 common date or a Mint State 66, I can tell you the Mint State 66 really hasn't lost any value in probably the last 5 to 8 years, depending on who you bought it from. Now, I've got friends in the industry, got some acquaintances. Talked to a buddy of mine, I guess we talked yesterday, and he told me about some dates of coins that he had a client that paid over $100 for when silver was cheaper than it is today. He was buying the proof coins. Well, the proof coins that he paid $100 for shouldn't have cost him more than $70 when he bought them. We can trace all that. That's easy. And today, because he didn't want to listen to the broker who told him what to consider, he decided he wanted silver American Eagles, and he bought the proofs. Now, I like some of the proofs, but it's a timing issue about those. They made a lot of them, and they're almost all perfect. Problem is that you may have a perfect coin that grades 68 or 69, and that's the great debate that we deal with. It's from that standpoint that I want you to understand you own coins from other companies or other grading services, and you own them in a third, and a third as the right mix, because some coins will go up in value and some will go down. Nothing ever goes up. That's why it's called gambling. And so this is a gamble. It's part of diversification. And so if you're diversifying and you're convinced that you should own some gold or some silver, I'm going to tell you, break it up and diversify that. It's called the hedge within the hedge. Be smart about it. Do things different. Be a contrarian. When everyone else is selling, buy. When everyone else is buying, sell. And if you do it just right, you time things perfectly, you make money going up and down, and you're happy about it. This is the rainy day account. People store it and put it in safes. They put it in safety deposit boxes, which I never condone, because on a weekend, if you needed to get to your safety deposit box and the bank is closed, you are SOL, and that's not Statue of Liberty, folks. There's a way to do this the right way. If you've got questions or comments, I would please encourage you to reach out and talk to me. 281-548-2646. That's 281-548-2646. Hit option 0. Now, if you're listening outside of the Houston market and you don't have a digital phone and you need to call toll free, that's 877-705-2646. 877-705-2646. You can email me, Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. Some people call it The Gold Exchange, The Gold Exchange, T-H-E, thegoldexchange.net. Email me, call me. You can go to themeltdown.com, click on the other banners, and learn more about the different areas of the market. Michael's been out the last 2 days with a computer disaster, trying to get his hard drive saved. But folks, those are the things that you reach out to us for. And we're not just, quote, trying to sell product or help educate you. If you've got product and you're looking to liquidate it, reach out to me. I'm a buyer of product that I like. If it doesn't make sense, just like the guy with the high school class ring today, I'll tell you to go sell it elsewhere. It isn't always about the almighty dollar. People are supposed to have consciences. I do have one. And if you've got any questions at any time about anything you hear, read, or see, and don't be confused, lots of online companies, lots of online auctions, because it's advertised doesn't mean it's a good deal. And if you want to consult about it, I promise I won't take a deal from you that you show me. I'll help advise you and guide you, tell you when to buy, tell you when to sell. I make a market in just about anything. Now, I never want to get off air without thanking Texas Children's Hospital, both the Ronald McDonald House and the Downs Clinic. Used to be housed at the Fannin location. Dr. Ostermeyer has moved off the campus. She's got a nice facility, takes care of a lot of different ailments now, not just Downs. Jason, my son, has very, very mild Downs. Everyone can kind of see it, but Daddy doesn't. Ultimately, if you've got any questions and you're looking for a foundation to be able to tithe or make an offering to, please go to themeltdown.com, click the banner for the Downs Clinic. Your name and information are always kept anonymous. The amount of money you donate, I'll ask periodically about the size of the donation pool that we can keep a track of. But folks, I promise I will not intimidate you, call you, or find you because they won't give me the information, and that's okay. I love the Downs Clinic and Dr. Ostermeyer and her staff. Also the Ronald McDonald House at Texas Children's specifically. I love the organization. They do a lot of great things for the families of children and, of course, for the children. But at Texas Children's Hospital on the 4th floor, there are 20 rooms. They house between 40 and probably 70 people a night. If you can provide a hot meal for those people or a tithe or an offering, please call 832-824-8600. That's 832-824-8600. Nancy Allen and her staff would be more than happy to accommodate you. Folks, I appreciate the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and the volunteers at Texas Children's throughout the medical center, throughout the world. Children are our future, and I love them, and I certainly miss my son Jason a great deal. Now, folks, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm hoping Michael will have his computer glitch fixed. I'm going to try to put it together so I can be on at 9 and 2:30. It's starting to get a little bit more difficult, but I'm going to try and get things smoothed out so I can do that. If you have any questions, I've given you ways to reach me. Have a great day. God bless you. And if you're in the Houston market, go cover your plants and bring your animals inside. We'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless you and have a great day. Bye-bye.